But before I conclude, Your Excellency, allow me to thank the Minister for Internal Affairs, who has variously supported us and assisted us in all our endeavors. But also allow me, sir, to thank the Attorney General, who has kept his doors open, and we have continuously requested for advice from him, which he has duly given. And Your Excellency, I take this opportunity to thank him. Your Excellency, my line of happiness is very long. It will continue, but my speech this afternoon is almost ending. But I would like really to reiterate the fact that I'm very happy, I'm very excited, I'm very determined to do the task that you have given me. But this I don't mention for my own behalf. I'm very sure I mention it for my team, and we are going to do whatever it takes. Once again, I'm just making emphasis that we are going to provide whatever the task requires. And at this juncture, I would like to again reassure you that the Uganda Police Force is committed to ensuring that law and order prevails to support the country's socio-economic transformation. I would like to end here, Your Excellency, for God and my country. I thank you very much. Allow me, Your Excellency, to invite the Honorable Minister for Internal Affairs to come and make his remarks. Thank you, sir.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, General Museveni, colleague ministers, senior officers of the justices of the courts of the High Court and Court of Appeal, and all of you big people here. Your Excellency, this is not my day. I'm an invitee, and I'm also eager to listen to you, to your wisdom. But I have about 3 things I would want to say, and don't excuse me for winning. We have a problem with welfare. I bleed when I see police officers who are working at Ginger Road sleeping in Mukono, and they must come to work on time and then go back on their meager salaries. There is need for housing the police, the prison, and the Directorate of Immigration. That would have been solved if we didn't have people who think within the box in the Ministry of Finance. They don't want to think outside the box, or if the box becomes difficult, to remove the box. But that's not your job, Your Excellency. I handle it with my colleague, Mr. Kasaija. Fortunately, he's one of my predecessors. He should know that there is a need for adequate housing for these agencies. Allow me to thank IGP Tom Magambo. I was here recently, and when they told me you were coming to visit this place, I just said, now. Because this place was very rugged. And, you know, when I came here, he told me, you know, there was a need for, and of course the pocket was empty. So I went with my heart beating and said, now, what do I tell this young man? The place was bad, to be sincere. But Tom, with the police authority, police leadership, I thank you for making this place livable, together with your And you remember I promised you to increase the manpower, CID. Your Excellency, CID is understaffed. Well, the resources willing, we shall see what to do. We have not forgotten, we shall see what to do. Then, Tom, what you've forgotten to do is, I remember I asked you the reconstruction of the CID. I don't want to blame the past leaders of the police, but I think when handling the CID, quite a few mistakes were made, and together with the Inspector General, talked to him. We should reconstitute the CID to make the CID equal to its job. The criminals they have reduced, but they have become more sophisticated. There is, Your Excellency, remember I had a quarrel with these gentlemen of the Law Council when they were saying we should examine the people before they go to LDC. My question was, you don't teach cyber crime, cyber law, you don't teach forensic law, you don't teach sports law, you don't teach maritime law, you don't teach, do you need these judges and these lawyers? When you put a pre-entry, those who didn't study these things and did them abroad are at a disadvantage. And yet we need these people. Similarly, the CID ought to be educated in these disciplines. We need CID officers who are conversant with cybercrime, who are conversant and competent with maritime law, with the oil and gas, with the etc. So, Your Excellency, there is need for adequate training for CID officers, reshaping and adequate training for CID officers. Finally, we have this problem of the existential threat to national integrity and development, corruption. I find it a bit difficult that it's only you blowing the clarion call to fight corruption when the rest of us in leadership are a bit silent. I think I call on my political leaders, to stand up and we support the president in fighting against corruption. Let's talk. We may not change the match, but let's also talk. And as for you, the CID officers and prosecutors, as you know, I have led both groups and I know what happens down there. I'm not here to spoil the wedding. But I beg of you to do internal search and have a perpetual recitation of mea culpa. That's what will solve your reputation and cause the advancement of our society. With those few words, may I take this single honor to invite you to address the gathering.
The Honorable Ministers, the Inspector General of Police, and other police leaders, other leaders of agencies, and members of the CID. I used to be here near Chibudi, actually on this hill here. I did not remember that the CID headquarters was nearby because I was busy breaking the law of that time. There was a slum here. I don't know whether it's still there. where one of our people called Abbas Chivazo, the Saba Wejere, the head of this ghetto, what you call ghetto now, he was staying there. And I used to come from Tanzania and stay with him there, just near here. That was the last time. The other time I came to see Prince Badru Kakunguru. Where? Nearby. But otherwise, I don't think I have visited the police, the CID headquarters. Now, during that time, during Amin's time, I don't think the government was emphasizing the CID. Actually, the head of the CID had been killed. Hassan, the Indian, had been killed, and his deputy, there was another one called Festo Wauyo, had been killed, and then the others were in exile, Kanyom Sai and others. So at that time, the CID was not being emphasized. I think they had shifted to Aritowiri in Naguru. There was something called Public Safety Unit or something like that. So that's why I comfortably stayed nearby here without the CID knowing that I was there. In Amin's time, the big incident I remember was when Amin was, they tried to assassinate him when he was coming from here. There was a faction here, and when he was going away, they inefficiently tried to kill him. And I want to thank Magambo for this effort of trying to make you belong to Uganda. Because really when in the last 65 years, when I've been closely involved with the issues of Uganda, what I discover is that many people don't really belong to Uganda in their work, in their thinking. If you do, it is easy to get solutions. And one way of doing it is the Nyankore proverb, which says, Okom Toguri Enshojun Kwitegwa. The hairstyle depends on the shape of the head. If you have got a big head, then the hairstyle will go accordingly. I think the English, they call it, you cut your coat according to your cloth. You cut your coat according to your cloth. If you really, General Tafuri here knows how we were able to fight a very strong enemy with nothing in the bush, but we were using what was available and using it carefully and profitably. And that's how we built up. So therefore, what I've been doing with the Magambo's group, the CIDs, when he brought them to me, I have been, first of all, mentioning to them what was happening before the British came here. Before the British came here, we had these kingdoms. We had one big kingdom of the Bachwezi up to about 1400, when the whole of much of Uganda was united under the Bachwezi. That's how you hear many of the Batwezi names in all these areas. Even Tanzania, even Congo, you find those Batwezi names there. If you hear names like Wamara, Wamara was a Mtwezi. Isimbwa, Kagoro, Ndahora, Ondaora. All those were Mulindwa. These are all were Batwezi names. Now, for some reason, that kingdom broke up about 1400, and then you had these small kingdoms, the ones we found here. Uganda, Nkore, Bunyoro, Rwanda, Karagwe, the ones of Tanzania. Now, those small kingdoms were inefficient and promoting war among us. And when the Europeans came, they picked them like grasshoppers. They defeated them. They tried to fight, but they were defeated because they were divided. Kawarega and Mwanga tried to unite late, when it was already late. And they were captured together and taken to exile. Now, so when the British took over, of course, that time, the economy was a pre-capitalist economy. An economy that was based on emyoga. This emyoga we talk about. That word emyoga, I lent it to you from your history. Emyoga means exactly specialization, especially the ones of, you had crops, people of crops, you had people of livestock, you had fishermen, then you had the other myoga, the blacksmith, the carpenters, if you want, blacksmiths are called abahesi, carpenters are ababaizi. This is Linyankore version, but you can put it in your own dialects. The ones who are making back cloth, they are called abakomaji. The ones who are making arrows and bows, they were called abatanaji. The ones who were operating on the lake, they were called abarimbi. Every mwoga had a specialization. And then they would exchange by barter trade. They were trying to use money, but money was not developed. They were trying to use cowrie shells from the ocean. That's why you hear of Nsimbi. Nsimbi means cowrie shells from the ocean, but it was not very widespread. Now, when the Europeans came, they are the ones who introduced, they first of all killed the indigenous handcrafts, blacksmith, what, they replaced them now with imported items. Then in agriculture, they tried to kill the indigenous agriculture and instead introduce some of these, what they were calling cash crops. So, in the 70 years, the British were here, they had created a small island of money economy. You can call it a small island of modernity. That's why in the 1960s, in the universities, were describing that economy as an enclave economy of a small island of modernity surrounded by a sea of backwardness. And by independence, 1962, the small island was comprised of what they were calling the 3 C's and the 3 T's. The 3 C's were cotton, copper, and coffee. The 3 T's were tobacco, tourism, and tea. I've been trying to challenge our people to give me the percentage of the people who were in the money economy in that small island. I've not succeeded very well, but somebody told me that by the census of 1969, the people in the money economy were only 4% of the population. The rest were outside the money economy. Then Idi Amin comes in. Now, that small island of economy of money was giving us some goods in the shops: salt, sugar, paraffin. Although the people in the villages didn't have much money, but at least they would buy those, what came to be called essential items, which were also contributing to the tax. But when Idi Amin came in, the small island was destroyed almost. The tea sector collapsed. The tourism collapsed. The tobacco was still limping on. The cotton collapsed. The copper collapsed. The coffee was still limping on. So that's how the NRM comes in. When it comes in, when the economy had, the small island economy had collapsed. And the economy was characterized by magendo, smuggling, what they were calling chibanda. Chibanda was foreign currency black market. And then what they were calling okusamula, speculation. That's how the economy was by 1986. So, when you call yourself a public servant, a public servant of where? Of Uganda, or UK, or where? If you say you are UK, then of course you are in the wrong place. Because this is Uganda. The Uganda I have described to you. So when we came in, fortunately we had spent a lot of time in these efforts. As part of the student movement, we had started very well all this, not only the economies of Uganda and Africa, but the whole world. There's nothing that we didn't know about the whole world. Because we had spent a lot of time as a student movement, as fighters in the bush. There's nothing we didn't know. So when we came in, we gave you very clear, we gave you, many of you are young, but your parents, we gave them the way forward. And as we speak today, we have covered 4 phases. Phase number 1 was what we called the minimum economic recovery. The minimum economic recovery was aimed at bringing back the small island of modernity. Bring it back. Bring back the tourism. Bring back the tea. Bring back the cotton. Whatever can be brought. Copper has not yet come back, but we have been trying. So that was minimum recovery. But also remove Magendo, remove Chibanda, and remove Kusamula. And we did it by a number of stimuli, a number of measures, including liberalization and also allowing the shilling to find its level, to float the shilling, let the shilling, instead of trying to fix the exchange rate artificially at some figure, we say no, let it find its market price. That's how you find the shilling sometimes goes up, sometimes comes down. That's how we defeated the Magendo and Kusamula and Chibanda. So that is phase one, minimum economic recovery. Phase two was expand the small island, expand it, produce more coffee, more tea, after recovering more tea, more of all of that. And we have done that. We have seen how much coffee has expanded. It used to be 2 million bags. It is now 9 million bags. And we are aiming at 20 million bags. Then phase three was diversify the economy. Because the British had told your people that coffee was a cash crop, cotton was a cash crop, tobacco was a cash crop, but maize was not a cash crop. Maize was a food, was just food for eating. But we hear other people making money out of maize. In America, you hear people, like we had a president of America called Jimmy Carter. I don't know whether he's still alive. He was a groundnut grower. He was making money from groundnuts. Why would maize not be a cash crop? They couldn't tell you. And indeed, in the colonial times, these people are old, know that the packed maize flour, what they were calling maize meal, was coming from Kenya, grown by the white farmers there, because Kenya had been taken over by the Europeans. They were calling it the White Highlands. That those islands around Nairobi had become White Highlands. They are the ones who are producing the maize. Milk was not a cash product. It was just for drinking. So but when we came in, working with some of the people, in particular, I remember one person called Victoria Sectoreko, was one of our agriculture ministers. We said no. Everything that has a market is a cash crop. So that's how we ended up making maize a cash crop, cassava a cash crop, milk a cash product, and all of that. So that is phase three. Phase four is where we are, the knowledge economy, making our economy produce products of knowledge, like automobiles, vaccines, electronics, and so on. So that's where we are now. Now, as we were doing all this, of course, we didn't. The tax collection was improving, was growing, because when you talk of the welfare, of the public servant, where do you get the money from? You get the money from the taxes, the economy. And the taxes are not only for the wage bill, they are also for the infrastructure, for security, for defense, and so on. So then you have the problem. How do I support the welfare of the public servants when I don't have enough money? That's why, but people don't listen to our advice. But from the beginning, you were very conscious of this, and we gave very clear advice. And our advice was, especially for the UPDF, we said, you people, we don't have enough money to pay what they were calling a living wage. I remember at one time the Makerere teachers went on a strike, and they wanted a wage from which you could live comfortably. But we didn't have the money to do that. So our advice at that time was, why don't you get the small salary you get, but handle the issues of welfare collectively. In the UPDF, we encouraged the building of army schools. Why don't children of biological children, not relatives, not because that also becomes another complication. Why don't the biological children of the soldiers, and by extension you can say of the policemen, of the even other public servants, if they had listened to us, but they were not, many of them were not even listening to what we were saying. Even if I'm getting a small salary, but if my child is studying free in an army school, in a primary school, a secondary school, a technical school, maybe when it comes to university it may be difficult because it may not be easy to build army universities and so on. But at least these lower levels, our children could study free through our institutional institutional facilities. You address the issue of education of your children. Health can be addressed collectively by having army health centers all over the place. Housing, what General Tafwiri is talking about. Houses built by our own internal capacity. The UPDF brigade, engineering brigade, is doing a wonderful job. They are building so many facilities and doing it cheaper, because when you use private people, the private man, many of them don't have their own money. They go to a bank, a commercial bank, moreover, and borrow money at 18% to build, if you hire them. Then, so if you are going to build a facility for 100 million, it is now going to be 118 million. 18% for the bank. Nothing to do with the houses. You are making money for the banks. Then the company want a profit. They want a profit of 20%. So you add another 20 million on the 118, so it is now 138 million. Then, because they are a private company, they pay tax, VAT, 18%. So now you have added another 18 million on the 138. It is now 156 million. Now, many of them don't have their own transport. They hire vehicles of other people to transport the materials. So, a building a facility that would have cost 100 million has now gone to 180 million or something like that. So I told the soldiers, why would you allow this to happen? Why don't you and you have got these engineers of the young people finishing Makerere who want to join the army, the police, civil engineers who can come and they are paid and they build. You give them equipment and they build facilities for you at price of the materials, because they are already being paid by the army. They don't charge anything. So the only cost you have are the materials to use. We have been talking about this, but I don't know, I have not had time to discuss it with you in detail, but I really think this is the correct way to go. Trying to use private, the business people come, they want to do this for that's a trap. It will be very expensive. The APDF is doing very well now. They have built so many facilities. You can go and share with them. Now, so that one would solve the issue of institutional housing. Instead of these policemen, as General Tafuri is saying, staying in Mukono, in all those places, stay near the workplace. And you walk on foot from your house to the workplace. This is what we recommended long ago. It's not a new recommendation, but people don't listen most of the time. They have their own solutions. Now, that is on the side of the welfare. But on the side of your assignment as a public officer in a society and economy that is getting out of all this cumulative history of the pre-colonial history, the colonial history, the breakdown caused by people like Idi Amin, and the recovery now. What do you do? What is your own contribution? Your own contribution, in my view, certainly that's what I've been doing. If the government can be able to support me more, good. But if it can't, I'll work with the little that is there and continue to build. And when I continue to build, the country gets more capacity to support everybody, including with the public servants. But in supporting them, if we cannot do it all at a go, we do it in a prioritized way. And I understand it. Even by 1970, before Amin came in, I had started working briefly in the public service. Even at that time, those managers there who were able to say, like for instance, we who had a bachelor of this, bachelor of that, but social science, were getting 1,300 something shillings a month as an assistant secretary. That's what they were calling us, who had just joined. You join as assistant secretary, you become senior assistant secretary, you become principal assistant secretary, and under secretary, then eventually permanent secretary. I remember we were getting 1,300 and something, 33 and 30 cents. I don't know what they were adding, 30 cents. But then the lawyers, that time, the ones I had qualified with at Dar es Salaam, people like Martin Mwesiga and other people who died, they were getting 1,400. Why? Because the country at that time needed lawyers more. Lawyers had been in short supply. The doctors were getting 1,500. Yes. Why? Because yes, social scientists, history, literature, Latin and all that, yes, thank you very much. You are a highly learned person. You can quote Shakespeare. Shakespeare stood here and said this, he looked this way. Thank you very much. We have seen that you are a clever man, but please, Mr. Clever Man, we need doctors more now. So we pay them more than you. And you must accept that logic. So now, when it comes to remuneration, like recently, when some few years ago, when I insisted to you people, you are all wonderful people, learned and so on, very clever people. Even the way you dress, we can see that you are very learned. But in order to maintain a road, we need an engineer. So if we don't have enough money to pay all of you well, why don't we start with this engineer so that he can maintain the roads for us, and then the matoke can come from the village, and then we create more matoke, and then we earn more. And the doctor, so that's why I insisted that the scientists are paid more. Fortunately, some of these groups are not so many. Like if you look at the government scientists, the researchers in the agriculture, the engineers, civil engineer, they are not so many. So actually they can be paid because they are smaller, but they are very crucial. The doctors. Then slowly we said, okay, we added now the prosecutors. We shall get to everybody. But for people to say, no, either to be like, there's what they call obukorwa. Obukorwa are I think they're called mangoos. Mangoos. The mangoos have got a very primitive sense of democracy. The mangoos are very small animals, but they are able to kill a huge cobra. They can kill a cobra, a big snake, they can kill it. And when they kill it, they break it into smaller pieces. And every mongoose must get an equal part. And if they don't get an equal part, they leave the whole snake there, they all go. Either we all get equal or nobody gets. Then I say, there you have become a kakorwa. You have become, this is what we say in our language actually, we say nyeko marach. This is malice. To say that either we all get or nobody gets. That's really a wrong mentality. And Otafiri here knows that when we were fighting, we didn't have food. But if there was some little mhogo, there is somebody who is on duty, guarding the camp, while the rest of us are sleeping. Because when you are hungry, you tend to doze. So we would rather give the little mhogo to the guard so that he stays awake, rather than saying all of us, either we get mhogo or nobody gets. So in terms of discipline, I would really advise that, and the impatience is not necessary, because the economy is growing. and we shall eventually get to everybody. But please, let's start in a phased way. Now, coming to the work facilities, like if you take the work of the CID, when I met them, I was telling them that, but some of the fight against the crime, you can use cost-saving methods. Corruption, which is a big problem. This one is easier to fight. Because corruption is mainly a health center. The PDM money is going to the parish. The Myoga money is going to the constituency. In all those areas, there are potential beneficiaries who are denied this money because of the corruption. So you, the CID officer, it's very easy work for you. Just liaise with the people. They will tell you, the people, the wananchi who are the victims of the corruption. They will tell you. So you, the cow, the CID officer, the DSO, the GISO, anybody in the community will easily get information about corruption and use it to punish the ones involved. Now, if we were to wipe out corruption by an efficient public linkage with the population, how much would that stabilize the country? Now, then that leaves the other crime, murder, rape, and so on. This is where now the forensics come in. The fingerprints, the DNA test, and all of that. So that one is for that cluster of crimes. Then now you are adding you are adding the issue of the other technical forms of intelligence, information about. You remember in 2018, when I made that long speech in Parliament, when I insisted on introducing the cameras on the roads. You have seen how much the cameras have helped you, if they were working properly, because even they were not fully implemented well, there was some problem. I was always talking with the gentleman called Waliamu Itsaki. Waliamu Itsaki, what are the problems of the cameras? Come and tell us here. Why are the cameras not seeing properly? Go there. Because for me, I was very excited with the cameras. Then later on, I was told, say, no, the cameras can only see during the day. But the crime is not committed only during the day. So what's happening with the cameras?
Your Excellency, you very well know that project was your baby, and we did it very well.
But Waliamu was removed or something like that?
Yes, sir.
He disappeared for some time and he has now appeared. What happened?
Your Excellency, we implemented the project very well. Every Ugandan was very excited, and it did good work for Ugandans. But later, there was some few mishaps. And
caused by earthquake or what?
Your Excellency, it was a management issue which has been solved, and now we are back on the line. We are operating. The problem made the system to go back to around 60%. Currently, we are operating at 91%.
How did you solve the issue of the images by night?
Your Excellency, the images by night, we worked with the stakeholders, mainly the municipal and the city councils,
Put lights.
to put lights on the streets such that we support the camera to see properly during darkness. And
And how about on up-country roads where you can't put lights everywhere?
now the upcountry, mainly the smaller towns, still remains a problem. But with our sensitizations, most of the readers now have got how these cameras support them in terms of security, and they are coming up with that idea of putting street lights.
At least in the trading centers.
Yes, Your Excellency.
Would that sort of, would it see all? Would that sort of see all the, on the light cameras, they would see properly?
Within that range of 20 to 30 meters, it is very okay. It can, the cameras are able to see, because we looked at the one of thermal, which is actually mostly used by the military. It is very expensive to deploy in the whole country. But these ones, once we support them with lights, it becomes cheaper, and it is world over,
because
the method of
operation.
operation.
Eventually comes to a trading center. Even if he goes somewhere, he will come to a trading center. Okay, thank you very much. Now, what happened to the digital number plates? Because I was very excited with the number of the digital number plates. Who is handling that on the technical side?
Your Excellency, the digital number plate project is under the Ministry of Security, and as police, we are stakeholders only in
Ministry of Security.
Yes, Your Excellency.
So who is handling that? Jim, would
Our
you tell us?
chairperson is the Minister of Security.
Okay, Mariam, we say thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Your Excellency, it is true that my ministry and the Ministry of Works are spearheading this project, but we are working with all other agencies, including police. And even the
how is the science? Can you actually?
The science of digital number plates.
Is it accurate?
Yes. In fact, recently a police car was stolen and driven to Kenya, and it was recovered because of these digital number plates.
Yes, that's what I thought, because when they briefed me, so what is the problem? Why is it not free?
No, there were a few problems, but yesterday we had a meeting. Now the investor is ready to roll it out.
Very good.
Completely.
Because you see thank you very much. You know what you should do? The way the NRM worked is that we didn't have enough resources. But whenever we have an idea, we bring it and discuss it, all of us. And we act together. Because when I had this, the cameras, you see how they have helped. But the cameras had those problems which Mariam Itsaki is saying they are solving, which now Mariam Itsaki, there was the problem of even if you see me properly, the camera, but I cover my face with a hood. How do you solve that? Sorry to make a whole Assistant Inspector General Police walk and go back. How do you solve the problem of the hood?
Shocking statistics on road crashes in Uganda show that there were over 23,608 road accidents in a single year, 2023. This highlights an increase of 16% compared to the previous year. The Uganda Traffic and Road Safety Report of 2023 also shows that there were 24,728 casualties from road crashes, with 4,806 people dead, 16,736 seriously injured, and 3,186 escaping with minor injuries. The rampant increase in the number of road crashes and casualties in Uganda is seriously alarming. According to Uganda Police Traffic Report, 80% of road crashes in Uganda are as a result of speeding, reckless driving, and violation of traffic rules and regulations. Your life and that of other road users matters. Every life taken or injured in a road crash is an emotional loss to a family, resource loss to a business, development contribution loss to a community, and a socio-economic loss to the nation. Join hands together to reduce and, if possible, eliminate road crashes from our roads by avoiding reckless driving, obeying traffic signs and rules, and maintaining public safety intelligence to keep ourselves, passengers and other road users safe at every time. Remember, drive safe today to live again tomorrow. Tofira kukubo.
Very good technical answers to whatever new problems you are facing. Now, regarding therefore, coming to the crime data center, I totally support it. We shall have to build it. And the forensic center, I don't know what happened. There was talk about it. We shall have to work on it. Now, coming to my daughter Abodo's points about democracy of taxation, taxing the, I'm going to discuss it with the people in the cabinet before I unilaterally, but if my staff can remind me on Monday, we can discuss it. Because she's saying that what you did for the prosecutors, do for the other state attorneys in the Attorney General's office. We are going to study that and we shall give you an answer. Now, for the prosecutor's circle, I'm very much embarrassed that the prosecutors are still kubanjaring me on such something small. I feel embarrassed and I will have to show the embarrassment. And in the month of November, I want my PPS to invite all my prosecutors to Kisozi. I don't think they can eat many cows, these ones. Now, I think finally, when you are discussing here, one of the, I like the ideas of Justice Abodo, like the land issues being handled promptly, locally, instead of fighting lawyers and so on. That's you study Abodo's idea of handling them off grid, directing the villages. You study it. Now, finally, the issue of bail. Because this issue of bail, if the case is ready for trial, I think is really a big mistake. I can understand if the case is not yet ready for bail, after 6 months, you can think of bail. But if the case is ready for trial, why do you not try it and finish it? Especially if it is the case of murder or corruption, like in the case of these politicians, or rape or treason. Why do you concentrate on, even for the accused? I would want to say, you try me quickly and I prove my innocence. Why do you want to prolong it? So I think the Attorney General should see how to help us on the issue of bail. The Chief Justice, through Chief Justice's instruction, had clarified that applying for bail is a right. You can apply. But granting bail is not a right. It is a decision by the judge, taking into account the circumstances. So those judges who are just giving bail because it's not a right. It's not a right because, yes, the accused has rights, but the victims also have rights. You cannot say that the rights of the accused are the only rights in the Constitution. Because, be careful with these Africans. Africans still believe in the law of Moses. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. This is their justice. This one of Jesus, loving your enemies, that's a new idea. That you should love your enemies. Jesus was a revolutionary. This is a new idea. So, if you want peace with the Africans, please want full accountability. Justice Abodo here can tell you how the situation in Karamoja had become peaceful for 10 years. Totally peaceful. The army had disarmed all these people. Then the army started making their own mistakes. Some officers started stealing the money of the Karamojong LDUs. Instead of paying them, they would steal the money. So the Karamojong LDUs, local defense units, started getting disgruntled. And you know the Karamojong. They don't have enough patience to say, let's go and follow. The one who did not get paid, said, I will go and pay myself by raiding. That's how the raiding came back. Then there was one man called Achuchu. This Achuchu had done something and been taken to jail for 10 years. He had his wife. When he was in jail for 10 years, somebody married his wife. So when he came out of jail, he says, okay, you married my wife, then give me the cows. Then they ignored him, Achuchu. They ignored him. He went to Kenya, rented a gun. You know guns can be rented. He went to Kenya, rented a gun from the Turkana, went and organized the raid to get cows and took them to Kenya, and he brought back the gun he said, here is your gun, me, I have got my cows. So that's how the raiding started. So when Achuchu raided the GA, then the GA now raided back the Masenu. So you can see it was all caused by our people, thinking that because they have power, they can do whatever they want. With the African groups, be very careful. Make sure that you do justice clearly. Don't remain with any debt of blood or anything. So if you live here, please, you better listen to this. If you live in other parts of the world, then you can. But here, Africans want full accountability. This was the mistake of UPC. UPC were stupid people. I remember in 1966, when Obote abrogated the Constitution, we were in the school at Ntari, in the dormitory, and we were listening to Obote's speech. I have led this country with clean hands and a clean head. I am not a thief. I have abolished the Constitution. So we said, how can somebody abolish our Constitution? How? abolish our constitution. Then the UPC boys say, what will you do? What will you do? What shall we do? That's how the whole chaos started. Very, very easy to avoid. So please, with the Africans, don't. That's why the Banyankore are very clever people. When lightning, like this lightning in the sky makes a flash, you know, Banyankore were scientists. They understood that light is faster than sound. Because you see the light, of course, what they did not know, I will tell you what they did not know. Now, when the lightning kumiasa in the sky, the Munyankore says, Gandra Heguru, Tikaria Kam Kagano Kamhara. You stay there in the skies, don't hit me. Because I have never taken anything from an in-law or a friend. I have never wronged anybody. Don't come to me. So, but of course, what they did not know that by the time you see the light, you're already dead. But you can see their sense of justice. Please, don't hit me. I have no debt with anybody. That should be the spirit of the public servants. Don't take anything from anybody. Don't do anybody wrong. Make sure everybody gets it right. So this business of concentrating on bail, what? Concentrate on proving the innocence of yourself or of the aggressor. So with these few words, it is my pleasure to do what? To address you.
Event is very memorable for the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Criminal Investigations Directorate. And we have 2 dummies that we would like you to sign.
Get the always extra long maxi pad, giving
I don't make you happy. All that time you would be complaining. I'll call you every